is Nick Greer, and we are at Summer Namm, and we do have a new pedal, and there's also a new amp. But let's start with the pedal, which is the Supa Cobra, which will indeed bite your face off.
Oh yeah, this is Supa Cobra. It's pretty awesome. It looks really good. This is the Supa Cobra. Yeah, it's high gain overdrive, like true high gain overdrive, not a distortion. That's like we're marketing as an overdrive. No, it's an actual high gain overdrive. That's what we went out and did. You know, we decided we were going to put a little switch on it right here. The fat setting. It allows you to get some like chewy mid-range, little subtle compression, nice soft knee clipping, all the things that you really want. The middle setting on that switch right there, that gives you some open and airy tones, if you will. You know, nice and kind of organic and crunchy. And then for maximum crunch, you can throw down to the LED setting, raise that gain level just a little bit, and you're into some like kind of Marshall grind. You know, I don't know if I can say Marshall, but Marshall grind. So you get into that kind of awesomeness there, and yeah, it's got a body control. The body allows you to make it fat or thin. It also has an impact on the gain of the pedal. So whenever you turn this up, you're going to get more gain earlier on here. Whenever you turn it down, you're going to clean it up a little bit. You're going to thin the sound out a little bit. These three controls are where you want to live because they're happiness. Happiness lies right there. That's where. All right,
I want to talk about one small part of my happiness, which is for those of us that are used to the Greer pedals that have the plates, like the Lightspeed, the Southland, so many fantastic Greer pedals. If you have those pedals, you're used to an opaque plate, and I know it's just a little bit of a tiny, tiny detail, but this one is like glossy and shiny, and it has like a cool thing where it reflects and you can see through it like a speed knob, kind of, where you see through the side. I've never seen a plate like that on a pedal, and I just kind of think it's neat.
Yeah,
I like neat stuff.
It's a nice, clear, glossy plate. We backfill it with the color, and you know, it's a pretty awesome thing. This is going to be the standard color for this particular drive, and it takes a little bit more time, but it just, you know, it looks killer. Why wouldn't you do it?
All right, 219 headed to stores like now.
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, like
much.
now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like go to the store and buy it, and then they'll have it like soon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and place your order now. You know, they'll get it.
All right, so if you like this pedal, but you're like, I don't have an amp that's cool, then what would you do?
I would get an Alliance 20. It's the perfect alliance of British and American tone.
All right, so now what we need is a pan and a zoom in on the amp, but I want to be clear, I don't want it to be smooth. I want a nice rough, like a rough zoom in. Now back up here to us. Tell me about the Alliance 20.
Oh,
What are you alliancing?
It's the perfect alliance of British and American tone. It doesn't get any better than that. So the first channel has a single volume control. It's the cream knob on the amp that you just saw. That cream knob is built to sound kind of like a Tweed Champ. So imagine a Tweed Champ with 20 watts. Just a volume control, it's really all you need on that channel.
Imagine a Tweed Champ with a full-size cabinet.
Right, exactly. So the second channel is built to kind of sound like an AC-15, 20 watt Marshall kind of combined. Like if they got together and made a baby. So it's volume, treble, and bass. So you got 3 controls on that one. And you can get some chimey tones at like halfway up. And then whenever you push beyond halfway, you get more of the grunt, growl, and grit. And it ends up being this like amazing setup of an amp where you have an American side and a British side. There's also one awesome little switch on the front that's a tiny little mini toggle, and it applies to both channels. That little mini toggle is in the middle position. You're not cutting any treble. In the left position, you're cutting like around 20% of the treble in the amp, and then in the right position, you're cutting around 40 to 50% of the treble. So it's a treble cut control is what it is, 3 position, and it's dialed in and tuned to give you like the most flexible options possible.
And I feel like other people have done kind of the idea of the American and British thing, but I feel like one of the things that always kind of messes that up is a lot of those amps use 6v6s, so the American side is right, but then when you go to the British side, it's kind of like British-y, but it's not like the like it kind of sounds right, but it doesn't feel right. Is that real? Is that a thing?
That makes sense. The 6v6 lends itself to the American tone so well that it just kind of has that sound. The EL84 is kind of a broader palette of tone that you can kind of mess around with. If you think about like the PV Classic 30, for instance, it's a great sounding amp. It's an American sounding amp though, you know, and it uses EL84s. And then you have the Vox AC15, which is a very British sounding amp. Once again, EL84s. So the EL84 kind of gives you this nice base to work off of, has its own inherent tone to it, but doesn't really pigeonhole itself to one type of sound.
And how do you get back and forth between the channels if you want to be able to use both the channels on the same performance?
Well, right now, one option that you can do is you can buy an A or B switch and switch between the two channels that way. The channels are out of phase with one another.
So the inputs are completely like amenable to using either one and switching back and forth.
No, you can switch back and forth. Like you just have to like run two cables out of an A/B switch. You cannot use the Y option though at this moment.
Noted.
We're working on something. I have an idea. It hit me the other day. And if I had my soldering iron here and a drill press, we'd have something put together. But I kind of didn't bring those with me. You know, I would have been running them in the booth over here instead of, you know, like handling sales.
All right, last of the last. What speaker is in it and why?
It has a Celestion G12H30 in there because it's my favorite speaker. And it's my favorite speaker because it's efficient. It has tight bottom end. The highs are not searing, but they are present. The mid-range is just a beautiful sound on that speaker. So in my opinion, if you're gonna run a single 12 in any scenario, for the most part, the G12H30 is the way to go, unless you're gonna spring for an Alnico Cream, in which case, like, that's kind of like awesome too.
All right. I said that was the last thing, but now I really have the last thing, which is something that I wondered because I feel like I kind of know like tube stuff, but one part about amps where I'm like really don't understand is cabinet like proportions and shape and dimensions.
Yes.
So one thing that is aesthetically attractive is how narrow the amp is. It's really slim and like fits into like a car or something like that really easy. How does that change the sound to have the cabinet narrow like that?
Well, there are a couple of things you can do with the dimensions in order to push some things back and forth. With this amp, we made it not as deep on purpose in order to make things a little bit more accessible on the back panel. How that affects tone is it actually like allows the speaker to throw more efficiently because you don't have the speaker confined in such a long throw of a cabinet. So you get more efficiency out of both the back and the front of an amp. And a lot of people kind of discount the fact that sound comes out of the back, but no matter what, physics is physics. The sound comes out of the back as much as it does the front.
You heard it here first. Physics is physics.
Physics.
We're going to leave on that note.
Science.
Science, amplification, emotion, passion, tone.
Yeah.